So we want to talk about anything about getting into a gallery or like working with a gallery?
Yeah, anything about gallery related, but it's a
Yeah.
proposal. We don't have to do that.
Yeah.
Yes.
No,
What do you think about it?
I think it's good.
Yeah, I am in.
Okay.
They want like to choose abstract subject and we're like discussing it like philosophically, historically, etc. or like on business.
Oh, what kind of galleries are you talking about? Are you talking
Yeah,
about like commercial galleries versus
yeah,
like,
yeah.
galleries in institution?
So the idea is that we talk about the next subject for the next video production with Christina or with another guest. So the questions that we gather or the comment we have, we can use in the production. Let's say in the next talk with Christine, in the recording, or it can be an inspiration, or the questions can be passed on to the
Ah,
interview.
I like that idea. Yeah.
So, and like I wrote before, if there is something used, there will be your name, and we will there will be contributor listing on our website, and so it doesn't have. Yeah, sorry, Ezra. When you are not talking, could you low
Yeah.
down your sound? Yeah, it's a bit strong. Sorry. Um, and yeah, there will be a contributor list and not just author list on the website. For now, there's Christine and Mo and me. And to write a big article, a long form article, it takes a while, but this would allow to participate to any subject and to push some ideas that and I have a big one for the galleries. And on the article, it would add you like your small icon, like a quote, and I'm telling that, and this is what I'm proposing, and maybe I disagree with this person, and then this is my point. So then we'll be documenting that, and there's just one small example about the galleries is last time I was commenting about the nepotism in galleries, and it's a big subject, and many are talking about it on Reddit, but there's not one article. There are very few articles telling about that, and it's polarized, or it's very cynical and very negative, or it is just trying to go around the subject and avoiding it. And I think if you want to approach a gallery as an artist, you need to detect if this gallery has nepotism. There are some ways to detect it or not, because then you don't have to lose your time trying to enter in this. And I think Mo had some ideas about it. I don't know what you're thinking about it, because Christine, when we are just writing together, she's writing the article, but I'm trying to go commenting on the final notes, and it takes months to do that. But she's not talking about nepotism. She's not talking about that. So, and she's not here today. But I think it could be one of the example of the things nobody talk about, and there could be um, critical thinking and pragmatic argument on how to avoid or how to enter these kind of galleries. Because there are many. I don't know what you're thinking about.
So is the agreement here is that if there's a gallery that has nepotisms in it, you just go, it's like natural, like, and then just back off and walk away?
I don't know.
Or is it like, should we detect that, oh, there's 50% nepotism, but they're still like, engaging, emerging artists. So yeah, maybe there's a chance.
I don't know.
If I can jump in, we see nepotism here in Southern California a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking about at Moses.
Mhm.
So there was a very famous, pretty famous abstract artist. He'd recently passed away, but his son became a painter, and his son married someone, and she became a painter. And now those two have moved right into the gallery system. Actually, they're pretty good painters, but the doors were opened for them, definitely. But then
what's your take on that, Anna? Are you
I
like, is it all about the work? Like, if he or she has good work, would you like just like, okay, he or she has a good work?
They do. I think that the new wife in the beginning, everybody was like, oh, she's just getting into this gallery. I mean, first of all, she was so young. I don't really think that she had an MFA, so she wasn't coming out of the academic world. And her work was iffy. But in the last 10 years, it's gotten much better. I don't know if you know her.
Do you think, though, that for excuse me, that women would be more harshly judged for that than men? Like, was the son also judged in the same way she was?
I don't think so. And maybe that also was an example of sexism at work. But at the same time, if you avoided all the galleries that those two people are now in, there'd be like nothing,
no galleries
available, because they are really in like the best gallery here in Palm Desert, William Turner in Santa Monica, and those galleries do take some emerging artists too. So I don't think you can avoid a gallery that is showing some nepotistic tendencies. And, those galleries really wanted to show the father. And so maybe letting the son in allows the estate of the father still to funnel through to that gallery. And
it could be those are the bread and butter. Those are the ways they're making the money to stay open in order to allow some emerging artists.
Right.
That's true. They're making the bread and butters on the son and father and letting some black horses in.
Exactly.
No, I think that's, I think as long as my point of view is that nepotism's, it's everywhere in the world. You can't avoid it, It's not just in the art world, it's in the finance world, it's in the lawyer's world, I was just talking to my friend sisters, who's also based in LA. She went to John Hopkins for international relation. And she thought a master's degree will help her better in this field. But it turns out that international relation is all about nepotisms again. Like, you have a lot of Napo babies who are just really rich, and they can afford to do, hey, can I like pay you so that I can work for this, I don't know, big organizations, and or like, hey dad, like, do you have an uncle? Like, my dad or uncles has some relationship to this organization, blah 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 blah. So she felt really betrayed by her master's degree, because she felt like her master's degree in Johns Hopkins kind of promised her that she would be like, doors would be open, but in fact it was just the same before she even get a master's degree.
That's
so
really...
I think, so I felt like it's the same everywhere. I mean, I agree with Anna. Like, as long as they are, I don't care where they get the bread and butter. They can like milk all the way from the father and son. Like, that's their business. But as long as like they're really showing some emerging artists, like, I think personally, I will support that.
There's another trend which is similar to nepotism, which is celebrities deciding that they're going to be visual artists, both movie stars and musicians. That happens all the time. And what do you do?
Yeah, people who already make them, who make their name and then decided that, oh, art is a good market. Like, yeah, you can make money.
Yeah, and it's about also social class and social status. So there are some galleries. There are galleries, even if it's not nepotism, they will detect that you are not from a certain class, from a certain level, and the first way to do that is studio visit.
How?
Studio visit.
They see how big your studio is.
First, if you have one,
Mm-hmm.
and then
Where's
if
the
it's,
location? How
yeah,
big it
if
is?
it's not where you're living, and then they can see your wealth and you taste and all the things you have, and then it's a way to select. So there are ways. I think it's the same. All this is the same family or family structure, and there's a good way. There's a good thing about this. For example, there are many actors who are son or daughters of actors or producers, and there's transmission. When you are in the same family, there's good thing about nepotism because the know-how is transmitted. And a bad actor, I would say, a bad actor is not like a bad artist, because a bad actor on IMDb, or he will be bashed, and if he's not good, he won't succeed. But artists, because of conceptual art and because they have this thing about especially right now in Gagosian is like that, is they are the vessel of higher power, like kind of sacred power, and they are not mastering their know-how. They do like clumsy style, and like a good example is Tracy Emin. She has a style that doesn't require know-how, and she's emotional. That's good, but you cannot control. You cannot pragmatically evaluate the quality, because art is sacred, and because of that, the family status and the nepotism and the social class has higher impact than in, for example, a baker or an actor or everything that requires know-how.
I think
I,
personally, I'm not that bothered by nepotisms. I'm more bothered by Napo babies who have bad work.
yeah,
Like if you're a Napo baby who had good words, okay, fine. Like,
okay. How can you judge abstract art?
that is a good question.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
Yeah, I don't think nepotism that's a problem because, as you said, it's like transparent. Like you understand how people get to the point, no?
Hmm.
But you understand it, like parents, la 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 la. But how the person from nowhere get to the point? That's an interesting question. How like people succeed actually? That's a real like the most interesting part when you are going to gallery, and there is a lot of nepo people, and what you should to represent to be chosen there, like what you should to have. It's not always just a good work.
Mm.
It depends
No.
on if the gallery can sell your work. If the gallery can sell your work, they're going to keep you. If they
Right.
can't sell it, they're not going to keep you. If they give you a chance, but your work doesn't sell, then you'll be out. So it's about selling. It's about choosing the gallery that is going to have the clientele, the collector
The
base
network.
understands your work.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But are the people buying the work or are they buying the name?
That's true.
Ah. And there's the confirmation bias. That means the more you see an artwork from school, you are trained to appreciate it, and then you see it for real. You say, "Oh, it's so beautiful," because you saw it in the books for 20 years, like a Pollock. But in fact, there's this kind of assimilation system and all of that is is very critical, but more at a very pragmatic way to detect this kind of galleries. Uh, could you tell? About it, or you can hear me, or I
I
explain
can
for
hear
you?
you, but I think it's better you tell it.
Okay, so I try. It's the employee, so the gallery owner as an employee, and you go through LinkedIn and you see which kind of employee it is, and if it's someone with a higher degree and stuff like that, and not someone qualified just because you can see the employee quality on LinkedIn, not the artist quality. Is it a good explanation?
Indication.
Yeah.
Indication.
Love, can you tell,
Yeah.
please?
Okay. So yeah. So basically, because the profile of an artist can be overly retouched, and you don't really see, and many things, just the MFA is a very genetic degree that almost everybody in the art world has. Right now, I'm at the entrance of Arco Art Fair, and you go inside. You can directly ask, where did you do your MFA or PhD? Because everybody has one. So it's almost no way to distinguish the artist to see what type of gallery, how they recruit artists. They don't tell you, but you look at the LinkedIn of the employee or talk to the employee. How did you get your job? Or just ask, do your family know any of the people in the gallery? If they hire somebody from the circle, they don't know each other, that means it's not a Nepo gallery. Because Nepo galleries only hire people almost every time, someone they know of, my mother knows I asked the one gallerist in Valencia, how do you recruit? And he said, it is transgenerational.
Oh, he said it directly.
But most of
It's
galleries are like that.
transgenerational.
No, isn't it so common in Europe, also in Turkey? Like, almost feels like how it's supposed to be.
Transgenerational. The first time I hear it, I'm like, but it's not a word. Like, can you explain me what it means? And then he said, oh yeah, our grandfathers know each other. I'm like, okay, enough.
And maybe I was thinking while you were guys speaking, maybe there's more room in contemporary art galleries for nepotism than fine art galleries, because in fine art maybe it's more like kind of easier to appreciate skills, but contemporary art, as Greg was saying, like Tracy, I mean, it's like the work itself is about the artist, so it's hard to objectively evaluate.
Yeah. I would say in retail gallery. In retail gallery.
Can you expand on that a bit? Like, what you mean retail gallery?
So retail gallery is for like fast-moving consumer products, or you call it commercial art gallery, or you call it carré d'artiste in French.
Art store.
The carré d'artiste type art store. Yeah, you can expand on that. Greg, Love, you can expand on that.
No, but I think you explained enough, no?
Yeah. So the fast-moving consumer products gallery, they sell more decoration. They don't have a sophisticated discourse. The works are self-explanatory. They are focusing on selling a lot rather than selling expensive, and they go to fairs that are not art fairs. They go to general fairs. Like there are two fairs in Paris, the Fair of Paris and the Art Fair of Paris. The retail galleries go to the Fair of Paris, and the fine art galleries go to the Art Fair of Paris.
So you add the third type of galleries, like decorative art galleries, fine art galleries, and contemporary art galleries.
Yeah, I don't choose. She heard.
Yeah. I heard,
Yes.
but I would say fine art, contemporary art is very similar in many ways because they, like, I would call it the tough kind, the modern, antiquity, collectible, the tough kind.
Yeah, I meant like fine art is still more academic provenance and academic approval is required. Maybe for decorative art, I see more maybe self-taught artists or applied arts, stuff like that.
I would say conceptual fine art and let's say decorative art, if you may separate the conceptual with the fine. Yeah,
Yeah.
not contemporary, because then everybody's contemporary.
Yeah.
And also fine art is born in Italy, so I think it's more popular in Italy. I'm not sure in the US if there are many like fine art galleries.
No, I think the old, like we call that the old master galleries, or, anything
Mm.
100 years old is going to go through auction houses. It's not really, there's very few galleries that show that kind of high level quality art.
Yeah.
Or antique stores, antique
Yeah.
stores. That's where you
No,
see
but
the old work.
actual contemporary fine art, like actual fine art, people like young people. There's a tradition in Italy. They are 20 years old and they did fine art school and they are so talented. And there are galleries about that because of Italian environment, the Italian environment. But I'm not sure in the US there is that. Yeah.
Mm-mm.
I think there
Wait,
might
wait.
be some in places that are where rich people go vacation.
Like Palm Springs,
Bahamas.
like Florida. I mean, the one in Florida.
Well, like I was thinking like Laguna, like
yeah, Laguna.
Yeah,
there
but
might
those
be
are, we
some.
don't consider those high quality. We don't consider those good galleries. They're tourist galleries.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. The good galleries are Gagosian,
Yeah.
a very, very high level. You're going to go to Beverly Hills and go to Gagosian or Hauserwirth, or,
Yeah.
the really high level ones are showing contemporary art only.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So because to tell to Maya, it's not visible. If you did like I did like 5 years art school, then you come, all the galleries. They will never tell you how you are blocked. And there's your classmate. He did 5 years like you, and he's not even as good technically. And he didn't really walk, and up he enters, and then you don't understand why. And he was not just to give a precise example, he was not from the family, because he was from North Africa. So for sure he was not from the Gary family, because so the not same not same area, and but he was from a high family there, like and he had this way to walk, this way to talk, this way to be, that you could recognize that he was from the higher statue. And there's these norms that you are being selected or not. It's just not your work. So I think these galleries, they are trying to hide that. They are trying to hide that, and this is quite easy to hide it. Not if you are Gagosian, of course, it's difficult because you are under the scrutiny from others. But if you have you are medium gallery size, it's quite easy to do that. And I think these galleries is just to avoid them. They are like 100% high statues or family, and the quality is there. The quality is there, but they will never tell you. They will tell you, "Oh, maybe come later." They will make you lose your time, and or they will just tell you, maybe you should work on that, and they won't be frank. I don't think. Maybe in Spain there will be more frank, but in France, not at all. I don't know in the US or in Italy.
here they are trying to sound as inclusive as possible. Like they might accept a foreign artist because they can't really read the background that well. Yeah, it's also about taste and academical approval, institutional approval. But I want to ask a more like practical question, because this is a discussion I often have with my best friend. She's so involved Italian academic system, but not in a traditional way, like very, very, very unacceptable aesthetic and contemporary things and extremely personal work, like literally type of work that no one else would care except the artist and who owns. But like when I tell her like, why aren't you trying to little bit of promote yourself, even acceptable ways, like why you don't have a price list or email list and stuff like that. And she's like so afraid to be blocked by the people who will see that a person is trying to make a brand of herself is like big no. But I personally witnessed so many opposite examples. Like I saw people who were like, in the beginning they were self-promoting and the works start selling and they find like very good gallery representation. So I'm curious about what do you think? Like if it's also economically makes sense for a gallery to see that you already have something, you care about your career and you start selling. Or like super high profile galleries, maybe it's a big no. But even if it's a big no, I think it's just after your graduation, because she's also 33. So I don't see the point of waiting or acting like you are 20, no? I want to know a bit your approach.
I think in terms of age, I've been noticing, because in China we have very strict age, and we're not hypocritic about ages restrictions. And we even say like publicly, if you are over 35, you cannot enter a competition for a public job, like to be a civil servant. After 35 is no way. And directly they say it because they are not ashamed of saying it out loud. So I've been like taking notes of ages, and usually there is the ages of before 24. So you have the out of school, fresh out of school, you know, like maybe it's between 24, 25, 23 years old. And then you have the 35. So after 35, there are certain young artist award, they stop at 35. After 35, you don't qualify young artist award. So if that is what you mean by age, but I think it has what you described, the academic turned researcher artists, it has little to do with age. It's more like you finish your PhD. That's like the first age mark. Then where did you do your postdoc? That's the second mark. And once you're on your mark, if you're 33 or if you're 34, it's more or less okay. It's quite tolerant. I'm almost 40 and I'm still finishing my PhD. Nobody flinched. They don't mind if I'm a bit older. Like research is very inclusive. It's the most inclusive career I've ever encountered so far, compared to art and theater and film and, you know, research is quite inclusive. So your friend has the example of, you know, I think if she's eccentric, she has chosen a good career to be a researcher.
But I do think Ezra brought up a really good question. Like, I think what I understood of her question is that, is it okay for artists to pivot, right? Like, is it okay for you to self-promote until a point that your work started getting noticed, either by commercial gallery or institution, you know, somehow, you know, and then you say, okay, I'm not a self-promoter anymore, and then you took off your catalog, your price list on the internet, and then start becoming more invisible. I think that's what I understood of Ezra questions. I'm actually curious of what Anna
Totally.
thought.
And I don't think people have that elephant memory about all individual artists. I think artists are unnecessarily worried about
Yeah,
everything they do will be remembered.
do you think the gatekeepers are keeping a sheet of like record? Oh, this person, huh? Oh, she was like promoting before, huh? No, we are not gonna let her in because she promote herself on Instagram.
If she's an influencer, like a huge influencer, you wouldn't
No,
want.
no, not an influencer, but
Oh,
just like, hey guys, yeah.
Even if you have your first 100,000, I think it would turn some people off. It's like if you're looking for a wife material and you look at someone who is very socialite, right? I mean, they want to domesticate. They want to have certain level of control and predictability, and to be a it's to be a Instagrammer or like a socially trending artist is not going very well with the career of a gallery artist or like it's not fitting very well. But it's still possible. I think it's possible. People make connections in all kind of ways, but self-promotion, I think it's really depending on how long you wait until you find your first, I think, gallery entry. I think after 10 years, if you are alone, it's hard to date again, no? Kind of like that, I think. After 10 years, my neighbor, is a single for 25 years, and she has a dog. She had two dogs. She outlived several dogs, and every time she just take a new dog, our upstairs neighbor, like she lives on the Arctic, and every time I just hear her walking and talking to the dog, like she's talking to her boyfriend, like, hello baby, how are you doing today? And I'm like, okay, like it's probably difficult to date after 25 years not dating, so I think it's also kind of like that. I'm not sure.
I have an encouraging story about a close friend of mine, Jeannie Dunn, and we've been friends for many, many years, and she's about, I'd say, 10 years older than I am, so maybe she's 70. And she painted beautifully, beautiful technique, but her work was not out of the ordinary. And finally, in her, I'd say about 10 years ago, her work shifted and she really found a voice. And at first everybody was like, wow, that's crazy that, her work really changed. She also left a smaller town. She left San Diego and moved to LA. And she had been courting a gallery for years. And finally, this one of the best galleries in San Diego, they took her. And there were a couple things that they talked about. Like they said, oh, well, she's not local anymore. She's an LA artist, because she had moved to LA. So that helped her not being in the same town. And then the other thing is she had collectors who had collected work and given it to a museum. So that's a huge way to get into a gallery in the United States. You need a collector who's going to donate your work to a museum. The museum's going to accept it, and not only accept it, but put it in a show in the museum. Then all of a sudden, you're going to be much more valuable to a commercial gallery who can sell your work. And it's working for her. And I'm really happy for her. And she's, 70. She's having her big success at 70. So that's very, very nice.
So I think Anna brought up a really interesting point about being located at the right place, right? And in this case, in your friend's case, it's actually being not in where she was,
right?
Away from where she was. Yep. Because this is one of the things that I noticed in Vancouver as well, is that you have to go away and come back in order to be something to them. So I guess like my next question is that like how important it is do you guys think to be in the location same as the gallery? Because there's artists that I have seen before that I really admire, and she's represented by a really good gallery, like by Karma's in LA, Karma Gallery, that I really liked. And I was reading her biography. She seemed to be never in LA. Who knows, right? She was in SF, she was in Santa Fe, but it seemed like she never lived in LA. So my question is that how did she get connected to her LA gallery, and how important it is to be located, let's say in this case, to be in LA, to be represented by a gallery in LA? Because
think
sorry, to extend the question a little bit, my challenge right now is that there's not a lot of commercial galleries in Vancouver, and whatever that is here is already eaten, is saturated. So I was looking at like how do I bridge and then go to the galleries in US or even Hong Kong. I'm done with my question.
Sorry about that.
No. Sorry to interrupt you.
I think that's why social media has become so important, whether we love it or hate it, or, you know, I know here at least that's always being hammered in. Have a social media presence, follow galleries. If you can't attend, some of them have virtual artist talks, attend those, comment on those, send materials to the galleries that you follow. I've been following you. I really like this work. I wish I could see it in person, but I really admire how you curate, things like that, which is all done virtually now. And I think that's become such an important role, and kind of takes away that need to be there as much. And there's nothing like being there, but
Right.
it does help.
But on the higher level galleries, like Esra was saying, once you get into a higher level gallery, you're not
Yeah.
going to be promoting yourself at all
No.
anymore. They
No.
don't want that. You cannot promote yourself because that's would be going around the gallery.
Yeah.
And for lower level galleries, I am coming up against, like we were trying to court a gallery near Palm Springs, and she told us flat out, I like your work. You are here. I don't represent people from here.
Wow.
And that's because she doesn't want the artist going around her back. And she said, it's just too tempting. You know, like if they see you a painting in her gallery, and then you can go to the studio, which is 10 miles away, and then the artist will sell it for cheaper. And she's like, I've been burned too many times. And you can promise and you can say, no, we would never do that. She's like, that's my rule. Hard and fast.
Right.
You should go and approach a gallery in Denver. You should go to Santa Fe. You should go to San Francisco or whatever. You know, and it's painful to have to ship work, to drive work. You know, if you can't,
Travel.
bigger works have to be driven places, and traveling, and just adds so much expense. But I think it's for a lower level gallery. I'm not talking about high level. I'm talking about like sort of mid-level gallery.
Yeah.
That's
You're not
the-
talking about Gagosian. You're talking about anything below that.
Well, I'm talking about way below Gagosian.
Yeah, way below that. Yeah.
The strata.
Yeah.
So at a certain point,
So
just have to
you think
about
the
how
way-
much work you're going to do? Like, are you
Yeah.
willing, Ty, to ship your work if it's small enough? You know, but you think about sculptors. We have friends who are sculptors. They're driving days to take work to Santa Fe. You know, or
Yeah, but there's only certain point you can do that. Like until you hit like, oh, there's a gallery in UK who interested in. Like, are you gonna like drive a boat to the UK? Right? Like, I mean, like in the US and Canada, like all the way down to Argentina, we can do that, right?
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
guys think the way is to like attend their virtual meetings and just talk to them as much as possible, reach out.
I think you need to know somebody. You need to know an artist who's represented by the gallery that you want to get into.
Mm-hmm.
Ask them to give you, like, ask them, do you think my work would be good in this gallery? And because that's how a lot of galleries get new artists. They ask their current stable of artists, who should we try? Who do you recommend?
Now, when you say no, you're not meaning that, oh, I follow him or her on Instagram. You're saying like knowing him and her as a friend.
Yeah. Went to school, something. Yeah.
So it's a chance of luck again. Yeah. Almost, yeah. Because it's like your case of your friend, right? Like, because I've heard of similar cases. Like a really famous jewelry designer, she's Asian, and her work got promoted because one of her collector donated one of her work to the V&A museum in London, and all of a sudden she's like this.
If I can, there's the set your son up, please. there's a way to first. So there are many friends. If you have a social life and like everyone, and you meet some friends or family, sometimes you meet them even if you live in the same city 3 times per year. And they think you're always around, they never meet you, and you can make someone think you are living in a place without being there all the time. And social media is against that, this idea. I had, so maybe one day you will meet him. My mentor, he's my ex-mentor. He was a professional in communication and about influencing people and all of that. And he was in many countries. Of course, he was commuting, so he was not changing different countries. So, for example, for you, Thais, you could be if you going to Hong Kong and you come back and you do that twice a year, you might be able to make them think you are living in Hong Kong because they would never meet you more than twice or 3 times a year. So, and if you are doing art on, you have to change your strategy. So then you roll your textile. You don't make sculpture in marble or things like that. You adapt your strategy, and you can make them think. And also, you can just post on your social media. You can create a social media account for your life in Hong Kong, and that's all. It's totally okay. So, and from my perspective, approaching artists to go in galleries, artists that are in competition with you, so it's best to approach the catering company or the florist or anybody who is not in art and a friend of the gallery owner. We had many artists coming introduced by the florist in our gallery in France. The florist knows in art. He had a friend of a friend, and he introduced. And yeah, you can count on him. He's a working person. He's working hard. He's consistent, and okay. And then all the others, there was no artist telling, "Oh, you should try this artist, and then maybe you will replace me one day." I don't know about the competition. Artist is quite bad. We are quite bad about that. I don't know what you think, but yeah, that's my point. Approaching professionals, friends of a gallery owner.
Yeah. So what you mentioned is in line with what Pierre Bourdieu said about the three capitals: the actual capital, money, the social capital, the cultural capital. The cultural capital is you have a PhD, okay? Cultural capital 5 point plus. You don't have a PhD, you have an FA, 3 points. You know, like how much, let's say, cultivated you are recognized in your education or in your practice, which is usually quantified by education anyway. And you have the social capital, which is a rich uncle you can call to pull some strings the next time you are in a VIP zone of Art Basel. So just to say, like, then like a friend introduce you to somewhere, okay, so social capital. If not, you travel with money, cultural capital. So you need to have some capital. If you don't have any capital, no leverage, it's difficult to play the game.
So the question is, who in this group is going to be a millionaire next? So we can elevate everyone in this group.
Millionaire is what you have.
Okay, at you, Greg,
capital. But I have let's say I have a friend. Yesterday we had dinner together at after the opening of Arco, the inauguration, which I'm here again. Yes, last night I was here. We had dinner together, and he is a I would say, billionaire and Chinese investor, had an MFA, taught art in his past life, and he still practices art after his golf sessions. and he competes semi-professionally with his golf, and he has golf friends who are really influential, you know, the top artists, and his buddies, you know, all of that. Oh, hello! You know, we have some friends here. Hi. Oh yeah, I'll meet you in a second. Thank you. Yeah, so I'm just saying that we have friends like that, and he still is not really in the, let's say, the top 5 fairs. Arco is being the 5th.
Yeah,
Because-
wealth is not enough.
Because having money is not enough. You need still what is the social capital and the cultural capital. And being a Asian himself, as a Chinese immigrant in Europe, you have what is the Big Mac effect when you convert currency, such as cultural currency, from your own country to a different country. You lose the conversion. If you ever try to change money in the airport, you realize you lose 25%.
Yeah. But he doesn't have a cultural capital. Our way has it.
Not as
And
Asian in Europe, not in that sense.
It's not
but-
Asian. Our way is Asian. He has no problem with that.
But he was already, Ai Weiwei was already big before he
Yeah.
came over internationally, right?
because his father, because he is
Yeah.
having this social capital.
Yeah, like you have to be something before you change your location, basically.
So I think the best cultural capital version of Chinese artists is Huang Yongping. After the Magician de la Terre, Asian art was considered fun art, and before that it was natural art if monkeys have done it. So Huang Yongping is the first one who got completely accepted. And the next one is Cai Guoqiang in 2005, who curated the Chinese pavilion of Venice Biennale, the first pavilion ever of China. After 110 years, not accepted in Venice as China, as a country. The 51st, he took China to Cai Guoqiang, took China to Venice. So those Huang Yongping, Cai Guoqiang, those people, yeah, they have enough cultural capital.
Just to add one thing about Venice Biennial, it's like every logical, educated person in Italy are well aware it's a very fascist-rooted art institution. Like any country who are not coming from colonizing background weren't represented in Venice anyways. Like the point of Venice Biennial is to gather colonial countries.
Power, yeah.
So of course there will be Japan, States, Germany, Italy, Belgium first.
Netherlands.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have the cultural hegemony, and they dominated for hundreds of years. And to be the newcomer, relatively new, you know, from a so-called inferior culture with less cultural capital is difficult already, unless you pull out the minority card, and they have minority slot reserved, but it's not for everybody.
There's no Turkey. There's no Egypt. No?
Really?
It's very recent. Like it's in Egypt, Turkey, all the third world, some African. I think there is Senegal from Africa. They're all in Arsenale. They are not in Giardino.
They don't have a pavilion.
Like the permanent ones are still the.
Yeah. And the ones selected, they have been the artists selected from Turkey or Egypt or
It's my
whichever
friend.
country.
This year is a friend of mine. Very.
Yeah, but which school he has done?
Actually, it's a kind of lower school than I did in Istanbul. He's a
Really?
Kurdish artist. Yeah.
He didn't go like in London or
No. In Turkey, surprisingly, art world is very not like European. It's very solidarity based. It's very political, and because we don't come from this bourgeois caste system, so it's still not very well adapted. Like in the art world, there are so many friends of mine that are coming from like really poor background, good looking, talented. boys who are loved by rich
Wow.
wives of art investors.
And I think
I-
at the Venice Biennale this time, the American Pavilion was done by a Native American artist. I think it's the
Yeah.
first time.
yeah.
And it came back. The exhibition came back.
I
It's
saw
in
it.
New York. Is it good?
No, it's in LA.
It's in LA.
It's at the Broad.
I got to see it.
Yeah, I saw it for the
it-
opening. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah, but for
Ezra,
sure, he did the art school in New York.
Ezra, like you mentioning Turkish artists, I just have to bring up this story. Like one of our teachers back in the school that I went to in America told us a story when he attended the school back in, I don't know, 60s, 70s. There was that Turkish girl in his class. And at the end of the semester, the Turkish girl was like, "Hey guys, can I tell you guys a secret?" And they were like, "Yeah, go ahead." And she was like, "I actually have a bodyguard and he's in the class as well. Like he's attending the school with her." And she's
Wow.
from Turkey.
Bodyguard.
Yeah, a bodyguard in the same class.
That's so strange.
Yeah.
It's not a common practice.
So like when you said like all the Turkish artists are from like, like non-class, I was like, oh yeah, because the one didn't have classes in somewhere else.
Yeah, that's true. The very, very rich ones are in the States. Like,
Yeah.
stays in Turkey, probably they're not so well off. But it's like the good thing is, I think there's also lots of political dynamics prepare this condition, very special conditions, that Turkish current bourgeois are acting like progressive. They are more left-leaning. They invest in public art, so there's like more funding.
That's
Even like
good.
I had an exhibition last month in Turkey, and it was like kind of hard for me to keep these relations, but I somehow managed. Through Turkey, I had achieved more things than Italy. Italy is like very tough. By the way, Greg, I'm going Cancerrat in February.
You're going?
Oh, in Barcelona?
Yeah,
Oh, I love it.
yeah.
That's good.
Which event are you going?
Cancerrat artist's
Concept
residency.
up.
And for how long you're staying there?
1 month.
Awesome.
Okay. So you're gonna do a
Congratulations.
group? Because I remember they inviting like for a group program and for like
it's a
alone work.
collective,
Yes.
collective geospatial communication. And I saw another Turkish artist who is doing PhD in my school where I graduated, and they're like very cool artists. I'm quite excited. Yeah, I think I
That's
will.
awesome.
It's really aligning my kind of research.
Which month?
February.
February next year.
Yeah.
Okay. We might come to visit you.
Yeah.
And also, you can take a train, fast train, 2 hours and a half, 2 hours 20 minutes to Madrid, because the end of February, the beginning of March will be the Arco Art Fair.
Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah, and you can see it's like what is the high-end art market look like in Spain, and see the gallerists.
Can I ask your insight more? Like, do you see rise of textile arts in the contemporary scene?
Yes, last Arco, almost every second booth there's one textile art, and there's in the opening section, which is the young gallery section, almost every booth has something textile, and there's like every 3 booths there's one booth that is 100% textile. And I asked why textile. Some gallerists say, oh, because we know this artist, she's great. It's a she, always, almost. And then there's another one, just more honest, and told me, oh, because it's easier to ship. And I'm
it's
like,
light.
oh, that's brutally honest. like,
Yeah.
I just, oh, it's easier. I can roll it in the suitcase, and that cuts the transportation costs, because now, you know, with the economy, I need to save. And I'm like, okay.
But I totally appreciate that, because I think even artists, including me, who like at the end, consciously or subconsciously, you do some choice, and not everyone can afford to do sculpture. Like I could never even have a chance to try, and it's like really financially much better for me to buy textile and carry around, continuing the train. So I think like eventually, of course, I had so much, how to say, like I learned that I inherit the technique from my mom, but I was trying to be digital artist in the beginning, and it's just like, doesn't count as an art.
Uh-oh. She's
Digital
in a
problem.
tunnel.
Digital art.
Yeah.
I think we have to go,
Okay.
but it's been really great seeing you all, and thanks for
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for coming.
Monica.
Bye,
Yeah.
Monica.
Bye-bye.
It's a
Bye,
very
Anna.
international group, and
Bye.
it was right.
I love this. This was
Yeah.
wonderful. I love the
Come
parrot
back.
too. There was
Oh,
because I have a little parrot at home.
Yes.
oh, what kind of
I
parrot
have
do
a
you
green
have?
cheek conure. Was that a cacique? What kind of bird was that?
That was a Quaker.
A Quaker. Yes, yes. Adorable.
Yeah. He's 24 this year. He's 24 this year.
Oh,
Yeah.
sweet.
Say hi to your
Nice.
conure for me.
All right.
All right. See ya.
I will. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Yeah, she's still in it tonight.
Yeah. Bird is a good mascot.
Too bad
Yeah,
we have cats and we can't make our cats meet your bird, because
yeah, parrot, there won't be any problem. It's so big, a parrot.
No, not a good idea to put parrots and cats together. Even if a big parrot's not a good idea.
Okay.
Yeah. Because the cats are always going to be the predator.
So, yeah, Extra, you are back. You were cut in the middle.
Oh,
No.
sorry. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like in the train, it's not so
Yeah.
apparently
So,
efficient.
Spain
what
is
were
waiting
you
for
saying?
you.
I was
What
just
were you
like
saying?
admitting. I think I end up being textile artist even for practical reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was so easy to ship. Like before, when I was trying to sell art prints, it was like really difficult.
I'm really interested in the subject, and because last residency we had with Louise, we went into the idea of working on an ontology of every, like for her it was anything related to photography and emotion, and the idea is to work on like I would work on an article listing many artists and digging into but with critical thinking into the subject. And I'm really interested to go in craft as well, because there's a lot of criticism to do. There are bad aspects about that. I don't know if you know the series The Handmaid's Tale.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's this thing about the depletion of resources in the world. Like we are becoming poorer, and when the quality of calories we get is going to be less and less, our mind is going to follow. And I think it was Lenin who said Soviet system is when communism had the access to electricity. So everything is going well, democracy is going well when you have a lot of resources, but when they start to disappear, we we become more traditional, and then the gender problems is coming back, and in contrary to what we think, the Western civilization, the Western society based on the Greek society is and then Christian, and is highly controlling and highly like, for example, you lose your name when you marry and all of that. For women, it's becoming a problem, and with when a country is becoming more poor and more poor and poorer, then there's this lack of resources, and the first impacted is the woman. Even if in the old time, maybe normally a matriarchal system would be better, because it is proved that testosterone is lowering the quality of the intellectual quality. So, and we are inclined to fight. So that's why we have that. But I'm losing myself. But the approach of craft through textile is an example of the traditionality in the art world, and it's really Christian approach of women just do what you are good at, and so maybe there are some thinking about that, because it's not just that. There are good things about it. And there's also the Greek legend of there will be a movie about that. Odysseus, when he went through the world, doing a lot of adventure, his wife was making textile and was taking it away, destroying it, and building it back. And in fact, she was having no life. She was just having no life. And in the Greek time, in the antiquity, the woman couldn't appear in public, or only to the one who could carry the water and the prostitute. And today, still, when you marry, the woman is losing her name. This is absence of in the society. If you compare to wearing a hat from some Muslim countries, maybe I would prefer to wear a hat and not lose my name. So this is, I'm quoting that from a historian. So, but there must be some critical thinking, and I'm very interested in that, because in art, this is the highest mediocrity, is when we just talk in art about textile. It doesn't go nowhere. It's just they are talking about things, and then it's not interesting. So, and to jump, I'm proposing to you to you, Estra, is I start the work, I share with you the access to the Google Doc, and when you have time, you participate. When you don't have time, you don't. And then when we have the anthology, we publish it, and I'm pushing you. So
Yeah,
I won't
let's do
be
that.
like waiting for you. And then to tie. Yeah, there's a niche. I mean, you have been changing your content, your what you are painting. It has been changed, even if it's in the same area with birds. I don't think if there's an anthology, it will be bird artist, but I think it could,
more watercolor artist, or
maybe
Jens
not. Maybe it could be from your text, from your bio, it is working on diasporic art.
That
Maybe it could be
that,
a
that's
niche.
that's a buzzword. That's a
Yeah,
buzzword for North America.
Yes,
They eat it really
can
well.
work. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of critical thinking to do with that.
Yeah.
So any idea or anything, I will just start many anthology articles, even if it takes a year. Then when it's ready, I'm publishing, and Mo could make a video on the subject.
Yeah. Actually, I put together, so I've been doing Greg, you've been telling me to do a series for like 2 years, and I finally kicked my butt from the back, and I did a series. So I put together like 7-8 pages of PDF of the series and with a little description on the side. Can I send it to you and like
Yes,
you guys
yes.
take a look? Okay.
Yeah, and in 2 weeks there's another talk, and we will just talk about that, the technical talk, or about your websites or anything. And Maria, if you have any idea or you want to join anything, the diasporic idea is also something you are. I'm not sure if you are still making, if you are still producing, because you are moving a lot. So I'm not sure. But you are definitely diasporic.
Yeah,
Is
I'm
the
changing my mind a little bit. I started writing, so
Wow, good,
what's next?
good.
Is the
Send us.
diaspora thing like a buzzword in Europe as well, or is it only in North America?
There is.
Everywhere?
Yeah, there's a train program. Oh. Yeah, so varies from I mean, just from the Jewish anyway. So it is really trendy because of the events today. So it's a big subject.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
but we have a tendency to think about Jewish first when
Okay.
diasporic.
Okay. I feel like that is not the case here for the word diasporic. Like it's because it's so overused with every single
Mm.
minority group. So we don't really tend to I guess like when we say diasporic, like we specify like Asian diasporic, African diasporic, like Jewish
Okay, yeah.
diasporic. Yeah. But it's interesting. Yeah, because I
Mm.
never thought about that.
Yeah. So it could be that subject we can work on.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Okay, I also have to
Yeah.
go as well.
Yeah, it has been 1 hour and 15.
Yeah. Nice to see you guys.
Nice to
Bye-bye,
see you.
Marie.
Yeah.
Nice to
Bye.
talk to you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye,
Nice
Maria.
talking to you too. Bye.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Ciao, ciao, ciao,
We stay in
ciao.
contact.
Look,
Yeah.
look.
That's nice.
Bye-bye.
Okay,
Bye bye. See
ciao.
ya.
Bye-bye. Ciao, ciao.